Night with Queens. We back up in here for day 2. How you doing, Christy?
You know what? I'm not gonna get into I'm really excited to see who is joining us today so that we can get this party started. We got Paris in the house again today. Hey,
Right on, right on. Got people
Paris.
that's
For
slowly
coming
coming
back.
in.
We got some more folks that are watching with us. Say hello, everybody. Say hello.
Hey.
We got 8 people watching us. Yes, come through, y'all.
So, yeah, come through, y'all. Share your comments, your thoughts. You know, y'all know y'all sitting at home on this next day of the night. Y'all probably thinking about a lot of stuff, so y'all need to just go ahead on and share it. How was y'all day today? What did
Yes,
y'all
let
do?
us
How
know.
y'all faring? You
Yes.
know, what's been your plans? Like, you know, what plans have for those of us who work? Are you still able to work? Are you telling with your clients? Are you keeping up with your children? People who have children who live out of town. How are you doing? You know?
Hey, Mambo.
Yeah.
Mambo, you know Mambo?
Uh-huh. Yes, that's my queen mother from Philly. Right
Hey,
on.
Philly in the house. See,
Right
that is
on.
really truly late night in Philly.
Right on. That's what I'm saying. We doing West Coast late night, but late night is like midnight. That's like when you in Jamaica and you going to the club, you don't really go to like midnight. Or you with
Right
some
on.
Africans, you don't go to
Yeah,
midnight.
in Atlanta, you don't go to the club
See what I'm
until
saying?
midnight.
That's that real
That's
stuff.
it.
Huh?
You don't go to the, Okay, so
So what's the we
we're
got?
going to talk about 3 things today. So we're going
Okay.
to talk about number 1, the Supreme Court unanimous decision in favor of Comcast.
Oh.
That was the lawsuit with Byron Island.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be real different, especially in these different times, right? And this judgment going to Comcast moratorium.
Wow.
And I think Sacramento, something came out today about Sacramento County as well.
They added on the same thing for people with businesses. So not only do they protect you can't be evicted in your house, but you also can't be evicted if you have a business during this time period.
So they did something very different
Yeah.
from El Grove. I think that's very, very interesting.
Right on. And y'all should
Yes.
remember who voted for that and get their ass out of there.
Yeah, I mean, this is what we're learning. I think we're seeing people's true intentions and colors. I think
Yep.
we need to
True colors shining
shine
through.
down. I thought it was shining down.
No, it's coming through, girl. A beautiful like a rainbow, but this ain't no beautiful like a rainbow. This is like this is
not at
stanky
all.
like trash.
Yes, and I think we're seeing like people's true colors. I know in my own professional world, I'm seeing people using this as an advantage to advance some agendas that they had before. So, it's real interesting. It's real interesting times. I mean, I think we're all on pause, but I also think there needs to be some very deep thinking, strategizing, and introspect that is happening in this time, because it's going to be interesting. Even though your president said we're going to be fully functioning by Easter.
I just have to laugh at him. He's probably not funny, but he's funny to me. Because I just think I think sometimes, I just think the universe has a way of getting our attention, because sometimes, as the old people say, we don't think shit stink. So,
yeah.
I guess now we know what it
Also
does.
seeing that people don't, especially those in the power set, baby, they don't really give a fuck. Excuse my French.
That's
For
true.
those that people don't, I'm a cusser, I'm sorry. I come from a family of cussers, but they don't care.
Yeah.
They do not care. And it's like the whole diplomacy and all that is out the door. So if you thought somebody was supposed to care, you thought somebody was supposed to do something, that ain't happening right now. So
Right on. So let's talk about this. What was our first one? Was the evictions? No. Was Byron Allen's case. Let's look at that.
Yes.
Peace, sister, this is her name, Michaela? I say her name right. Brown.
Michael. Hi, Michael. How you doing, Michael?
Yeah. So, anyway, she said, think fat meat ain't greasy. That's for real. I used to hear that all the time growing up when you didn't believe something. They said, you just think fat meat ain't greasy. And you'd be like, what this got to do with some meat and greasy? But now I understand what it means for real. Eviction or moratorium. So, we need to talk about those three things.
Yes, I'm going to copy the link that is going to show where they made their decision. So we're giving you a couple of minutes. So if there's comments that you already have, until I start the timer, you guys can make your comments now to talk about the Byron Allen case, because we want to read your comments also in this time. We don't want to just talk about it. We want to talk about this with you. So,
And how y'all feel about this?
yeah.
And how would this impact us?
Link on the page now.
And I also, are you sharing the link to? Okay. Somebody said they're having tech issues. I also shared the link from the Biz Journal around what happened with Byron Allen as well, in case a lot of people did not know about it. So I remember, and I'm not going to front, when I first heard about it, I thought, okay, Byron Allen is a Is he a millionaire or a billionaire? I didn't really know how this really related to me. I'm just gonna be honest, because when I see very rich black people having issues, I just be like, I don't know, I don't have those kind of problems. But I also heard this dates back into something in terms of discrimination, and that we should all be watching it. And that's a little different when somebody comes with something like that. I'll be like, okay, I need to be paying attention. So,
Yeah.
I'm grateful that somebody broke that down as well, because I really didn't, know too much about it at all. So
Yeah, it was like this case had been going on for quite some time, and then we started hearing more about it on social media. And I'm gonna be honest, that's the way that I heard about it. And so, okay, let's start talking about it. I know Michael has a lot to say. She says I'm upset about it. So let's go ahead and start the 3 minutes.
okay.
Now, let's. So, do you want? Can you read a little bit about that article?
Let's
in
see.
this
Hold
3
on,
minutes,
because I'm
as we wait for
already.
comment?
Hold on. Let me just, because okay. So Supreme Court unanimously decision said giant. The ruling that's in order for his suit to survive. He bears the burden of showing racial discrimination. Was this but for cost in the cable giant's refusal to carry his entertainment channels? That's deep. So the justices in a unanimous decision ruled to prevail. A plaintiff must initially plead and ultimately prove that but for race, it would not have suffered the loss legal protection right according to the opinion. So let me just stop right there for just a minute. You know what's really interesting about this, and this is why America, like, it's just, it don't mean that you're not hopeful, but I just think we keep getting the same lessons that our ancestors got, and for some reason we think we are different than our ancestors, but apparently the descendants of these people who enslaved our ancestors are not much different than their ancestors, because they always figure out how to worm their way out of, like, what is racism.
Right.
Like, you're asking a person who is racist to define racism.
Right.
And you have to convince them that this is racist. That's kind of crazy on our part.
I agree. And we want to wait, we have to wait until they have a conscience to do something right. Like, they don't do things right. That's not a part of their history. That's not a part of how they've been able to be in control and rule. And are we surprised? And another thing is, I just think during this time of Trump, they have gotten the license to be really reckless and inhumane. They don't care. Like I said the word earlier, but they don't really care about us. And so it's really going to be about us paying attention Yes.
He looks good.
I did watch it on Saturday. I had it on for about 4 or 5 hours straight
Wow.
between. But D Nice gave me so much life, brought back so many beautiful memories. You know, like when you hear songs and when you hear music, it just takes you back to when you first heard it, and that feeling, those memories. And most of the memories I have were awesome and very good. And so that was
Thing.
basically around the country, people are asking for local governments to put a moratorium on evictions.
Okay.
And also, they're doing it with the because this is a difficult and hard time. You know, businesses have been asked to shut their doors. It's enforced. The stay in place is enforced here in California. That's not actually the case everywhere. But people are asking for a moratorium on evictions, and in Elk Grove, they did not go forward with it. So
Wow.
basically, what I heard them say, and oh, tag Twalia Laster, because she actually
Okay.
was
For it to be gone.
Stephanie Nguyen is on there.
Yep.
What's the
Steve Lai, was he on there? Because he needs to be voted out too. Sorry.
He's the mayor. He's the mayor.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if he voted for that, he needs to go too.
Yes, I agree.
Sorry.
I agree. Like, we need to make sure that these people are being held accountable, because this is not okay for
I
people
think
to
more
do
of us need to be running for some seasons. Ain't no black person besides your boy was on there. but they don't count. We need some of us on that city council in Elk Grove. We always have sheriffs and police officers, and like, nah, we need some regular, ordinary people on that damn city council seat. But that's just what I think.
We really need some women to be into some of these positions of power in these elected positions. That is saying something about in this county, in this city, when we don't have any black women representation on any of these elected official positions. Not one. Not on the student council, city council, Elk Grove council. I know San Juan definitely has some representation. That is awesome, but we got to make sure that we are being represented. And if we're not in those seats, then we need to make sure that the things that affect us and our communities and families are at the forefront of their priorities. We need to hold these folks accountable, because that's unridiculous. How you gonna like not put a moratorium on evictions? That's like bottom level. Like, you can't take a pause for a minute. Like, I'm having a problem with businesses and corporations using what is happening with COVID-19 as an opportunity to
push through an
advance
agenda.
their greed and capitalism and all the things that they making all the profits. They don't pay taxes.
I think
Why is it not okay for you to protect your staff, your employees, and people that are staying in your property? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think I cuss too much to run for city council. Sister Rolanda, I think I cuss too much.
I know I do.
Because I'll be like, what the fuck? This don't even make no sense. Like, it's hard for me to control that. Especially with adults. With kids, it's different. But with adults, I just start cussing. Because adults, like, they push the button on me a lot. Because
No, you know what it is? You want to fight them. You just want to slap off it.
You be like, I can't even believe they think they can pull some shit
female.
like this. It's the fact that they think that they can pull some stuff like that off on people. And I think that's just so offensive. And my thing is, we have people who rob the system all the time, and they're big crooks. But you don't do anything to trap them. But you'll go out to somebody who, you act like this is for a whole bunch of months.
Okay, time.
Crazy.
Good job. So thank you for those topics, Alana. Alana gave us those 3 topics for today. Yeah. If you have topics that you'd like for us to talk about in our mind-blowing conversation for the rest of the week, please make your comments. So anything, we can talk about anything. It could be any topic about anything that's going on with you, the world, your family, your community, and then we'll talk about it on the next show.
Right on. All right. That was good. That was good, Krista. Got to keep up with them catch-ems. All right. So what we doing next here? Let's see. I'm trying to get to the.
We're talking about the legacy of our grandmothers today.
Right on. So I love hearing about grandmothers, and just who they were, and I'm excited about this topic, and I hope that y'all will share, about your grandmothers. So
this was an important topic for me and Rolanda, because I shared it yesterday. I lost my grandmother on February the 10th of this year. She was 90 years old. She had been suffering with dementia and Alzheimer's for since 2014. And it was an aggressive, her prognosis was aggressive, and meaning that her body started deteriorating. She lost function of her body, and she wasn't able to do a lot of things for herself. And at the end, she wasn't able to do anything for herself. And so my family rallied around her and made sure that she was comfortable as much as possible. We gave her CBD and THC drops. We bought her like a $1,500 chair for her to sit in, and so she could be comfortable. Like, we were just wanted to make sure that we kept her really comfortable. My mom actually did. She's like awesome. My grandmother actually told her, when she had her, she said, "I had you to take care of me." And that was true to the source, because from the day that my mom was able to the day that my grandmother died, she made sure to take care of my grandmother and make sure that she was okay. And it just showed me what my role and responsibility is as a daughter as well, to be there for my mother And we should be there for our parents and honor. They say honor your mother and your father and your parents, and that's how we honor them, is taking care of them and thinking about how they feel about what we're doing and not doing. We're a reflection of them. And so when we think about our grandmothers, I think it's important to think about the legacy that they led. My grandma was off the chains. And so it was just really good to celebrate her. We had her funeral on the 26th of February. And so I'm just really happy that she's not around for this bullshit. I think she knew something that we didn't know, because she was out of here, right? And all this stuff is happening now that she's gone recently. But I'm so appreciative of my grandmother. So that's my intro to this topic.
Wow. So, my mom's mother, Alice Newman, Alice Blackburn Newman, never met her in the flesh, but my mother talked about her a lot as we got older, and she was deaf and mute, and she had 12 children and 9 lived, and she was extraordinary. And when I look at my mom and my sister and her sisters, I do see my grandma in her, because I see her pictures and stuff like that. Love my grandmother. I've heard such awesome stories about her. I knew she also was a spiritualist. And she actually went to the school for the deaf. So I was able to find her on the census a few times at the school for the deaf as a child. So, and the Catholics ran that. So that's where she went to school at. So I heard such awesome things about this woman. And I'm just glad to be in her lineage, because I learned so much about myself. And I also know a lot about the grandmothers in my line. So I know so much about them. And I'm just so grateful. And I sometimes feel sad when people maybe don't have a relationship with their grandmothers, because I think sometimes you're missing out on the lessons, and you're missing out on things about yourself.
Yes.
You know, that's why I think I got sacrificed down so tight, because that's who she was. She sacrificed a lot for her children. And I'm just so grateful, like, to be her representative here now.
Well, Michael made a comment. She said, I love it. Black women are a wealth of knowledge and wisdom passed down to keep us progressing forward. I respect Black women because of the magnificent power and legacy we have. I agree with you 100%, Michael.
Right on, me too.
Just to think, I just also think in this time, and especially as the world is changing, is that our grandmothers my grandmother was born in 1930. So I'm talking about my mother's mother. Her name was Reba Jackson.
Wow.
And she was born in Georgia in 1930. And her parents were sharecroppers.
Is that the one that got the lavender outfit on?
I don't know. I only gave you one picture of my grandmother.
Okay.
She's the only grandmother that I've actually. I have another grandma. My grandma Ketchum. She was off the chains too.
Okay, I was trying to find out, because you gave me a few pictures. I'm not sure if this is all the same person or. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
I don't know what you're talking about, but.
I'm trying to show the pictures that you gave me too. So I showed it a few times.
Oh yeah, that was my grandmother. That was me, my mom, and my grandmother.
Yeah, I showed that one already, but there's one where she has on a pretty lavender outfit. Is that your grandmother?
Her.
Okay.
Yeah, all the pictures that I sent to you are my grandmother. And, thinking about her coming and being born in 1930 and then dying in 2020, like, think about all the things that she's seen in the 90 years, like, really all the things that have happened in this world, and being a part of that and living that, and having children during those times and figuring out how to survive. And, that's crazy. So we got a couple of comments. Alika Bernard, hey Alika.
Hey.
That I spent so much time with my grandmothers. They were fire. She said my Georgia grandma didn't play, and she could cook and play the piano. She had our little asses lined up singing at age 3 and up. I come from greatness.
Right on.
That's beautiful. And Alika, you still sing to this day. So
yep.
Just to think about the fact that you got that from your grandmother, and as a young lady, she offered the beauty of music to you. Yeah, my grandma was off the chains. Yes, that's my grandmother. Yes.
Wow.
She was very fashionable. She was very fiery. She didn't talk very much. So me and my mom are very verbal, and I guess because she wasn't, we are. But my grandma was a firecracker. Like, she did not play no games. Like, she was 5'2", very like sensual lady. She always acted like a classy lady. But if somebody messed with her, she would beat that ass. Okay. It was so funny.
Right on.
At the funeral, we were talking. Well, and she would mostly the people that were her victims were men, and they were men that she had a relationship with. She
Right
would
on.
say that. She would tell. She told my cousin. My cousin told me at their funeral. She said, "I'll never forget it. My auntie Reba told me, don't you ever take no stuff off no man." And I was like, my grandma told you that? My grandma don't even like talk much. But when she talked, she was very profound in what she had to say, and it always had a meaning. And sometimes you had to think about it, but like it always had a meaning.
Right on, right on. I can't even imagine the times they lived in, what that was like, what it was like for them being black women, and the value or the lack of value on them, and how they had to really be some fighters for real. And not just to the open enemy, but sometimes to people in your community. And sometimes I feel that energy myself. Like, I'm so used to who the open enemy is, but that enemy within and people who look like you, they were still fighting those enemies as well, and still trying to rear their children and give morals and value. And so, like, you right on. I wanted to share with y'all, I have a picture of my great-great-grandmother, whose name is Winnie Parks, and she was born into slavery in 1818 in Fairfax County, Virginia.
Wow.
I'll show you her picture. This is her right here. This is Winnie Parks. She was born in 1818 and she died in 1920. She was 102 years old. This woman had 5 children right out of slavery. She married her husband, who they were together on the plantation, and she really helped to raise everybody's children. But also she was one of those people who didn't take no shit. Like, she didn't, and she was very
I think
much.
that might be the running theme, right? Like, if you don't take no shit.
Yeah.
You live long.
Yeah. So she was only married one time. I found her on all the census from 1870 to 1880 to 1890. I mean, she's lived with like damn near everybody. And she lived to be 102, and she died. I have her death certificate. I have her marriage certificate to my great-great-grandfather. All of her kids they had together, that we know of. Now we talking slavery, so people claim kids that ain't theirs, but they're all Parks. So
Right.
and so I know a lot about the women in my line. My great-grandmother, just one great, she was married 3 times, and she was born in 1860, and she got married when she was in 1890. Then she got married again in 1903, and then she got married in 1916.
Look at how they was doing stuff back in the day.
It's like, I've heard some stories about her too. But she died when she was 82. So I was like, wow, yeah. So I follow the women, but it's always this reoccurring theme where they didn't take no shit. That's what and they did a lot. So my great grandmother Georgia moved when she left her first husband to Pennsylvania, where she married her second husband, and then her mom came with her. That's how my great grandmother came to Philly, and the house that they purchased is still in our family. So they moved up in like 1901. The house is still in our family to this day. My uncle's daughter owns that house, and they still live there on the same block and everything that they moved to. So that's
a blessing.
Yeah, that's roots. Like that's
you know what they be saying? Don't sell your grandparents' house.
And
don't
now,
sell.
And when they got there, it was all white. Now it was all black when we grew up, and now it's back to being all white. And that house has been in our family ever since. And it ain't a big thing, but it's now that property value's gone back up. But I learned so much from these women. My grandmother had 2 sets of children. She had 3 sons with her first husband, 2 daughters with her second husband. The third husband ain't had no kids. But she was known for taking care of everybody. And one of her daughters, the last one, was deaf and mute. And that's my grandmother, Alice. So, and
that's your mom's?
That's my mom's mother. Her name is Alice Blackburn. So what I love about my family, we have these names that keep reappearing in our family, like Winnie. Like we have a bunch of Winnies. We have a bunch of Georgias or Georgianas. That's from my great-great-grandmother. We have a bunch of Alices. And so people keep naming their children after these women in our line.
Yeah.
And so we do that with our mom. So our mom is May. We have a whole bunch of Mays in our family. So that kind of stuff is so important. Like I have so many pictures. And so I have to always tell people this. People get mad at me when I be saying like, no, my family is black. We're not Indian. We're not Native American. We're not, no disrespect to anybody that is. My people is black from Africa. I got pictures, what they look like. So we not mulattoes. No disrespect to anybody that is. But I think there needs to be some receipts. If they gave out reparations tomorrow, I think some of us should show up with some goddamn receipts. Because you can't like want these people's money and you don't want to recognize their struggle. There's another picture of my great-great-grandmother when she was old, right before she died. This is 1902. I mean, this is back in 1920s. So I just feel like, that's why I believe reparations should be on the table. I'm sorry. I want my grandmothers and great-great-grand. I want all their stuff. I want it. Sorry. I'm not sorry. I want it.
Yeah. Our ancestors and our people fought hard for that. So yes, I agree completely with you. And it also shows how not far removed we are from slavery.
Right on.
Like I said, my great-grandparents were sharecroppers.
Right on.
When my grandparents came into Sacramento, my grandfather, Huey Jackson, he had to leave Georgia because he beat up a white man. And so they had to get him and his brother left immediately because they didn't want him to be lynched. Wow. And he came to Sacramento and got established, got a job. It is told to me, and I believe this to be true, is that my great-grandfather was illiterate. He couldn't read. And he went from Georgia to California, got a job at McCullen Air Force Base. And he worked there and retired there. He also washed windows at Raley's, many Raley's throughout Northern California.
Wow.
Because he was the owner. And my great-grandmother, Ola May, and I'm actually named after them. So my middle name, I don't even say this often. My middle name is Huola. My mom be like, Huola. And it's after Huey and Ola May. And that's after my two great-grandparents. And my mom always talks about her grandmother being her savior because my grandma was a little wild. My grandma was wild. So she got divorced in the early 1960s. She got a taste of that nightlife because they got married because they wanted to get out of the house. That was a condition. You didn't just be out in the streets. You had to get married in order for you to leave the house. And so she found her nice man from Tennessee that was in the military, and they got married, and they had some children, and my grandma got a taste of the touch of class. And
yeah, I remember the touch of class. Okay.
The elf is still
back in the day. Yes, right.
Back in the day. And they didn't make it.
That's all right. I think that's awesome.
My grandmother actually had about 5 husbands. Her last husband died when she was 80 years old. He was 20 years younger than her.
Wow.
So yeah, when we think about these women, and I guess also the overarching, like what we've been socialized to believe, and like what women are supposed to be and what they're supposed to do. Mm-hmm. I'm very excited and thrilled that I had women that like stood up for themselves, that they were courageous and bold, and that they really did create an environment for their children and their children's children, and they thought about the importance of that, and they instilled so many wonderful and great things in us. Like, I'll never forget all of the things that my grandmother taught me, and I know for a fact I am the woman I am today because of her. So I think that's important for us to remember from who we come from and what they have sacrificed for us to be here today. And I think we lose sight of that, right? And we should be building on what the legacies that they left. Like, what are we thinking about when we're thinking about our children and our children's children? And I don't have any children, but I think about other people's children. Right. And so I think it's important for us to continue to think about the women that came before us, because they went through a whole lot of stuff. And I think they did a lot. And we know that it's not necessary. It's not recognized.
Right on.
Because think about our history. We only know about a few women. That's not okay. But there's so many women. I think that's what kind of came up for me with the Madam C.J. Walker movie is that here we have two prominent Black women in a time where they're entrepreneurs and like creating, like scientists, basically creating like products and stuff. And they're reduced to what they were, the characters that they were reduced to. Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Women been doing things, Black women particularly, ever since we got in this country, have been doing phenomenal things. And the fact that we don't know about it, we don't hear about it, we don't call out their names, I think we do a disservice.
That's real talk, Christy. So I'm a part of a book called Mama Time, Queen Warriors and the Women Who Reared Them. And this is a book where I had to, I was like kind of hesitant about writing. And then this Queen Mother said, no, you need to write about your women and your line. Cause so I wrote this, I wrote about my mother, intensely, but I wrote a piece called Odu to My Ancestors in the Midst of Seven Generations. And I just want to share a little piece if I could.
Yes.
All right, good. Cause this is so this says, I am the daughter of a great people. I am the great-great-granddaughter of Winnie Parks, who was an enslaved African woman in Fairfax County, Virginia, who lived to be 102. I am the great-granddaughter of Georgia Parks Audric Blackburn, who was a teenager when emancipation came, and she lived to be 82 years old. She was married 3 times and made the journey from Fairfax County, Virginia to North Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I am the granddaughter of Alice Blackburn Newman, who was a proud deaf mother of 12. I am the daughter of the late May Newman Wilkins, who braved the West to ensure her children's children would have better days. I am Rolanda Wilkins, the present day representative of my ancestors. Just a little.
Yes, we gotta put the clap. We're gonna put some claps in the comments. We gotta put some claps.
But I had to, I just feel like we just gotta big up the women in our line, because it is because of them that we even can live the life that we live. You know what I mean? I sit behind a desk. Like, my mother was a nurse assistant, but she also cleaned people's toilets. She also did maid work because she had like 3 and 4 jobs. Like, my mother never took any welfare. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she had this pride about her. And you know how you come home and you see other people's reality and you be like, well, they doing over there? Well, yeah, but you ain't them. Because you come from this line. And so she would never let us dim ourselves to excuses. My mother hated an excuse. And I think I'm the same way. Like, I don't hear that shit. Because if I got to go through it, you got to go through it. Like, that's just the bottom line. And so I'm so grateful that she gave that to us as gifts. And when I look at my nieces, them out in the world, they're doing really well. It's because that's my mom, which is really her mom and her mom and her mom. It just keeps going back. Because it's that sacrifice, and it's what we teach our children. And I believe in ancestors, so I think that they roll with you. I don't think you're ever alone. That's just me. I just think they now don't have the restriction of their body. But just think about it like this. We were seeds in them back in the day. We were seeds because, your grandmother carries the seed of all of her generations, and all we're carrying the seeds, you know what I mean, of our line if we had children. So that's the way it goes. That's how powerful we are as women. And I think the biggest thing I got out of being a woman is like, man, like, we are so powerful as women. And ain't nobody gonna ever try to get me to put that shit in to something that's simple like a hair weave. Like, dude, being a woman is so powerful. We determine as life comes and goes.
Yes.
And you can't even fuck with that. You can't remix it. You can't do anything about it. Come on now. I mean, men are important. Don't get it twisted. But if we say, hey, no more men to the planet,
we're the mothers of civilization. Yeah. There's nobody that can deny that.
If we say nobody else is coming, you ain't coming.
That's right. Paris talked about her grandmother. She said,
talk about it.
Paris died, said, my grandmother died, had 13 sisters. We only knew 7. I grew up with her taking me to the cemetery to see my father after his murder. She told me that that was our playground. We packed lunch, and I would go to pick whatever flowers I wanted. She taught me how to get to his plot and told me he would be there for me forever. So I needed to know where to find him.
Right on.
Your cousin Nicole said, please forward me a copy, Ro.
I got you.
She said, give it to me, Ro.
I got
Michael
you,
Brown talks about they have a lot of Catherines in their family.
Right
Michael's older sister is Catherine. Nicole said you can't claim her to yourself, Rolanda.
I know. But you know, because I love them so much. No, I'm so serious.
She said,
You gotta
they
share.
are our strength.
Yes, they are. Because I can imagine some of the stuff that they faced. I'm just saying. I could not imagine. Because I also, when you find them on the census, it tells you if they could read or write. It tells you their occupation. We had cooks, we had farmers. Some of the shit that we don't do now, which is kind of embarrassing. Like we're in the middle of a quarantine. How many of y'all got gardens? When we knew when we was in Virginia, that's what we did.
My grandmother had a garden too.
Yeah. So, and that's just my mom's side, the family. I know a little bit about my dad too, but I mean.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So Lika said if reparations aren't on the table, then they don't ask me for my vote.
Yeah, shit. If Jewish people could get money every year, we damn sure deserve some money. I'm sorry.
That's right.
Because I got receipts.
Brown said, you better do it, Queen Reba. And yes, honey, my grandmother was the business, honey. I love her. I'm so thankful for her. Michael said, we've been saving the world since the first push. Now, Michael, you better say that. The first push.
That's real talk. That's real talk.
Nicole, your cousin, I guess she's your cousin, right?
Yes, she is. She's my cousin. On my mama's side.
Not to make this personal, please know the importance of Sister Mama Rowe. She is the history keeper of our family legacy. She has educated and continues to educate our family.
Oh, I tried.
Hey, April said yes, sis. Harris said yes, sis. And Nicole said you not gonna get on relief. I don't know.
Okay, yeah, maybe I don't know what that is, but we'll find out. But no, I just think it's important. I think that, and then I want to say this. I also think knowing about our grandmothers, we should be reflecting that when we're working with young girls. And I think that's why my heart be so like, young girls can get on my nerves. Now, y'all, that's what I do. But I just be like, I'm gonna send you back to class because I understand like that sacredness of woman. And that you're always molding and nurturing. You have to be very careful when you're dealing with us because we face so much shit.
Right.
Don't nobody get the business like we get.
That's right.
Don't nobody get it. I'm sorry.
I think that's important to say, like, especially with our young girls and thinking about a lot of them, you know, some of them don't have grandmothers. And I think you talk about the crack era all the time. A lot of people lost their grandmothers way earlier. Yeah. Because of that, they raised a lot of their children's children. I think it's very interesting, like you said earlier, those that don't have grandmothers or have those relationships with their grandmothers or they didn't have very good relationship with their grandmother. I can talk about the fact that my grandmother oftentimes could seem very distant. I know for a fact that me and my grandmother had a very close and loving relationship, and my mother did not always have that with her. Right. She talked about being very happy that, like, once my grandmother got older, and especially as she got sick, and she felt like my grandmother said, like, I have dementia or Alzheimer's, but she did know that something was happening with her body. I know. And so she was very intent about, like, I need you guys to help me with my bills. I don't want to drive anymore. And she was very intent about what was happening to her. And my mom was able to, like, really have a loving relationship with her. Because literally my mother really did take care of my grandmother. She didn't even want to leave Sacramento because she didn't want to leave her grandmother before she passed away. And then also her mom, my grandmother. So it's something to say about those that did decide to stay and to take care of their families and make sure that they were okay. And just that responsibility. We have a responsibility to take care of our grandmothers and our mothers, and especially during this time right now, like where they're very vulnerable now, like with this whole thing that's going on with our country right and around the world right now, is like taking care and making sure that our grandmothers and our mothers are okay. Like that is a responsibility. Like I hear people sometimes say that they don't have to do that, right? Like
that's real talk.
You know, like, you all on your own, like you're on this island on your own. No, you can be successful. You can have your own family, but taking care of your elders and the ones that wiped your asses when you were babies and that were there for you and made you and supported and raised you to be the women that you are, we owe that to them, right? And if it wasn't your grandmother, who are those women that were there for you that are now older? Like we have to make sure that we're taking care of each other, even as women. That's something that I think we need to think about it, especially as we think about the legacy of our grandmothers.
I love the fact that we can say no. And I'm willing to bet you when I even look at, even on my dad's side, 'cause I know a lot about, I have a great grandmother, Janie, who's from South Carolina. And she had a scar on her face, like from her top of her ear to the side, and that came from a man. And her daughter damn near beat this man down who cut her face. Because I'm just always grateful that I live in a time where I can say no and got back up. I'm glad I live in a time where I have women who would back me up and not just be like, well, we can't do nothing. I know some women like, we this dude's ass. How we ride? Let me get my back. I'm glad I came up in the era where people was like, we ain't taking that shit no more. Because we know better. But if they hadn't sacrificed through those days, I wouldn't even have that as an option. And I'm just so grateful for that. Because I think that's what, maybe they didn't know how to do certain things because they didn't have as many options. But because of them, I have options. That's just the best way I can put it. Like, I got options. Thank you so much.
And we were able to learn from their mistakes. I think that was very important for me. It's like, you get to have a group of women that went through the things already. You don't have to repeat those same things that they went through. And I want to read something from April, because she said, you guys are blessed to have such a legacy of women in your family. I grew up without my grandparents on both sides. I know today that it is certainly the one thing that I was missing in my life, is also why I rise so hard for my daughter and work so hard to create legacy that Angel's children's children will be proud of. I love that, April. And your daughter,
she's
Angel,
so adorable.
She got a whole bunch of aunties.
That's right, and she's so adorable.
She got some grandmas too. But that is true. Like, not oftentimes did our grandmothers make the best decisions, right? And sometimes they were not here to protect us and to support us. But we can learn from those women. Like, they went through things that we can learn from. They could probably tell us how to navigate this thing that's happening with us right now, right?
Right on.
Because they went through this already. And so, like, how are we making sure that we are continuing this legacy? How are we pouring into young women and making sure that they have what they need to be not only successful, but to survive and to thrive through whatever. And again, we're the mothers of civilization. Nobody can take that away from us. Black women are the mothers of civilization. If you did not know that, let me tell you, right? You can go get your receipts and all, do your research, but that is a fact. And so we have to embody that, which is why I started my organization and called it Our Rightful Place. Because we need to know who and what we are and who we come from, so that we can stand in that place. And unwaveringly as well, right? Like, we have all this strength within us, but it's hard to figure out how to use that and navigate it in this racist and oppressive times. But I'm seeing things shift, and I'm really excited about that. So how are we making sure that that shift is happening, thinking about the young women that are coming up after us?
Right on. You're absolutely right. I also think we are the blessing after sacrifice. Like, I think even if you maybe have not known your grandmother or her story, the fact that they had enough courage to keep having children and you got here, that in itself is a blessing, because now you get to leave a mark that maybe they could not leave. And I think about that because I don't know if I could have. I mean, I guess I did because I'm here. But when I think about what the time was like being in Fairfax County, Virginia, in slavery, or my dad's side is from South Carolina, from St. Helena, the Gullah Geechee people, I could not imagine what that was like, scrubbing people floors, people seeing you less than human, not your body not being your own, like shit we're struggling with today, but we have more options. And so when I'm doing my work or just living my life, I feel like I'm doing it because they're in me, pushing me, like, no, this is why you're really here. Don't get it twisted. I know that doing me shit is cute, but we sent you here with a purpose. We did not survive all of this shit for you to be here now doing shit that don't make no sense. That's not why we push through. They done tried everything to kill us. Yeah, they done tried everything to kill us, and we still here. So that means you have to be here with a purpose and a mission. You are not here by accident. You're definitely not here by accident. You're just not. So I believe in that when I think about my ancestors, my foremothers, what it must, our infant mortality has kind of always been somewhat high. You know what I mean? Even through slavery, not knowing what baby was going to be the person you was really with, or being with people you didn't love. Like, think about what it took to create the so-called African American, there's something very unique about us. And we know black women have that Eve gene where she could produce damn near anybody. And we don't even know that's just something unique for us.
Yeah.
So you're so special, black woman. Are you serious?
Yes.
The hell? What? I love when my girl said, being a black girl is lit. I wouldn't want to be
lit.
nobody else. I said, you made me forget hype. It's lit. Yeah, we lit. When she said that, I was like, I felt that shit. I was like, yeah, we is lit. We is lit. She said it is beautiful and we're powerful. And I was like, girl, I can go home.
The only thing I would want to be is a black woman, period.
So I was told that my absolute worst day is better than my grandmother's best day. And I never forgot that. So even when I'm thinking I'm having a day that's worse, and I consider my grandmother's best day, it was my worst day is better than her best day. And so it really puts things in perspective. Like I got options. I can go to sleep and wake up and have a whole nother plan in the morning.
Right.
Like that's my truth. Like I don't have to, I don't scrub toilets. I don't, there's just certain shit I've never been able to do. But because of the sacrifice,
never had to do.
So I'm not ashamed of it. Let me just be honest. I'm so not ashamed of my ancestors. I'm so not. I am so proud of them because I know I can survive anything, including this shit right here.
Amen.
Come on. So with that, y'all, we got 3 minutes. Talk about that black woman. You get excited.
Yes. Trying to see if we have more comments. We don't have a lot, but we really appreciate everybody joining us today and talking about the legacy of our grandmothers and how important they are. And you know what? Everybody wasn't blessed to have grandmothers, maybe by blood, but there have always been women that have been supportive and loving and showed us different things about ourselves and were our role models. Even people that, you saw on the TV. And when I think about like a Claire Huxtable, like she is still around, but like she was someone that really showed black women in a positive light. Her and her sister Debbie Allen.
Yes.
She just did a broadcast last week and she's like in her 70s.
She's so classy.
Like we can't keep up. I'm only 40 something and I can't even keep up. Like she was.
But she's always been fierce. Fame, girl. I'm still doing it. Like you put on Fame right now. I have to sit down and watch that shit right now because I love Debbie Allen that much.
I love Debbie Allen.
Okay.
Yeah, and thinking about all the black women that have came before us and our grandmothers and their children's children. That's who we are, right? And so we just have to make sure that we represent that correctly, right? And knowing who we are and really, like I said earlier, taking our rightful place.
Right on.
It is for ours to take and for nobody to take away from us unless we allow it. And so that's what we got to stand on that.
So we dedicating this show to your grandma. Because I put her picture up there with her beautiful self. That's why you so pretty, Christy. Because you look at your mama, then your grandmama. Girl, y'all jeans is popping. Don't get it twisted.
Popping. My grandma's skin was smooth on the day that she died. I touched it. And it was just so smooth and beautiful. And I was just like, wow. Like, and the strength that she had, even, she was going in her demise. My grandma was powerful. And I take and embody everything that she gave me and didn't give me. I am her and so much more because of her. Right on.
Well, all right, Christy. We're going to go back in the house tomorrow.
I know.
Yeah, that was a good topic. Do you know what we're doing tomorrow?
We don't know, but guess what? People have been voting. They have been voting. So if you are looking on Rolanda's page, look at our show yesterday. Or you can go to the Sacramento Sister Circle page. We put the list of topics up. So if you have a topic that you want to talk about based on the topics that we came up with, then we were looking for your 2 top votes.
And I'm about to share the list again on here right now. So tell us what y'all think, and I'm gonna take one off because we just did one tonight. So
so if you're interested in these topics that we're talking about. And we really want to hear people, and please, we'll put something, a reminder out tomorrow so people can, I see you giving a kiss.
Yeah, I'm coming, baby. I just put the list up.
Okay, so we want to hear your top 2 topics.
Okay.
And then we're going to decide what we're going to do tomorrow. We're going to put out a reminder in the midday so people can know what we're going to talk about. But again, if there are other things that are current events or just things on your mind that you want to talk about for our mind-blowing conversation, just let us know. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you too, y'all. Hold on, let me just picture. I'm gonna end with your grandmama's picture, big and clear. So there she is.